Hey YouTube, welcome. My name's Mike and I appreciate you stopping by. Well, today I'm sitting here loading up, getting ready to go to the Eastern Sierras, doing some fishing and watching the Angel game, and I can say I'm enjoying packing more than I am watching that. Those poor guys are having a hard time finding what a win is. But anyway, I just wanted to show what I take. If there's somebody who wants to get into float tubing or have never been to the Sierras, this load out works pretty good for me. And first of all, there's the float tube, of course. And I guess that's like cars, it's to your preference. Now I made my own rod holder for the tube. I've made a video if anybody's interested in that. And then over on this side is the tackle that I'll show you what I'm taking, and some odds and ends things here. Now the first rod, I'm taking 3 rods. The first rod is it's a Bass Pro Graphite 5.5 foot with a Browning reel. Very light, very light. So I'm taking that. Normally I take another one that's that long, but the tip got broke off. So my next rod and reel will be a Mitchell 300. It's new. I bought it from Cabela's. And I usually don't take a long rod on the float tube, but I didn't get over to Bass Pro to get a tip. So then on these 2 bags is part of the loadout. Now the front, most of it's just for camping, stove, tent, sleeping bag, stuff like that. But in the front one is my waders, my boots, and my life jacket, and then other hiking, I'm not going hiking, but camping things. The back duffel, it's got the anchor in it that will fit up front here, and then it's got the clamps on the side to when I anchor it. I've got a video on that too, and that anchor system really works good for me. I'm really happy with it. So the anchor's in here. There's a paddle about this long. It's not really good for moving as good as kicking, but sometimes you get in the irons when you're trying to go in the circle, and if you hang the paddle here and a couple of things, you're spinning like a top. So that's why I keep the paddle. There's also the fishing net in there that'll hang on that side. I've got a water bottle thing that I keep water in. Now there's things to hold them here, but usually this is so full that this is no good, so I keep my own. And that's about the loadout as far as what would be on the raft itself. I'm also taking a Tenkara fly rod, so I'm taking 3 rods. And then in this side, you know, on a float tube, if you're getting into it or you want to get into it or you haven't been into it yet or something, you know, float tubes they are wonderful. I mean, it's out there, you're relaxed and everything, but there's some things that you got to be real aware of, and safety should always be first when you're out there on the lake. And number 1 is, on a summer's day on a lake, you can get burned up pretty bad. So I always have a big brimmed hat. I have a buff that I bring up over my face, and then I have a long sleeve fishing shirt that's UV protected, and that'll help a lot. A life jacket. Oh man, never go out without a life jacket. If you have waders, put your belt on, the chest belt on. Keep it kind of tight, not uncomfortable, but tight enough to where if you take a dip, it's not going to fill your waders full of water and drag you under. So safety is always important. In the sun, have water out there. You know, the water looks pure and clean in the lake, but it's still not good to drink. And then in this one, if we're talking about safety first, I always keep this backpack straps. On the back of this, these straps go on, you can carry it like a backpack. Now, when you're up in the Sierras, and this happened last time, some of these lakes are big, and if you get out there and the wind comes up and starts blowing pretty good, you'll never be able to kick your way into it back. It'll blow you right down to the end of the lake. And a lot of the lakes in the Sierras, they don't have roads around them. They have maybe a road that goes a quarter of them and stuff. So I always carry the straps in case I'm blown out. But it's real important when you're float tubing to keep an eye on that wind. And if it starts coming up, you know, adjust for it, because you can be in trouble. And if you do get blown over, I always carry, I'm a backpacker too, so I carry what you call the 10 essentials, and it's a lighter and a space blanket and a candy bar and cordage, just things that you might really need if you get stranded. So I keep that in there. This is odds and ends. I'll show you a closer view of that in a minute. On the other side, I've got a tackle box. You know, it's a chest tackle box, but I keep mostly bait in. I'll show you a close up of that. And then I keep the tackle box over on that side. Let me show you my loadout for fishing tackle, and that'll about wrap it up. Alrighty, for the chest bag, and what I take up on the right side of the, or the left side of the float tube, is a box of flies. These are the tin cars that I just tied. Did a video on those, on tying those. Also in there is some little bait, you know, plastic worms or whatever. Then whoops, in here is just power bait basically. There's some maggots and, you know, all kinds of different things. So that's what that's all about. That's in the end on the left side. On the other side is this little tackle box that I got from Cabela's. It's got three, I believe these are like 3600s, but you know, in this one there's lures, there's bobbers, there's plastic worms, there's bobbin stoppers. You can see little shaky head jigs. And the next one, now this is, you know, if I'm on a lake with a boat, I use the whistle, or if I'm in trouble, I use the whistle. And then there's some clippers and a tying device, a knife, some real small treble hooks, a couple of bass lures, but I won't be looking for bass up there. And then the last one is lead weights, lures, plastic lures, shaky heads, clips, that kind of stuff. That's that one. Now in the front of this is I've got my line for the tenkara pole. This ties onto the end of the pole right there, and I'll have 11 foot of pole and about 12 or 14 foot of line and leader. So that should get me away from the float tube good enough, I hope. And then also in the front I always carry some forceps. Now the last thing I carry on the float tube is this, just kind of an all-in-one thing. I carry this. It's got my fishing license and the permits around, a lighter, a notepad. I like to take notes. I've got a thing that holds your glasses on so you don't dump them in the drink. Here's a small leather man that comes in very handy all the time, even around camp. I have a small pair of scissors, another clips. I always have a headlight. Just whoops. What was that? Oh, okay. Always have a headlight. What fell out was lip balm. I like this for lip balm. And then you know, your everyday sunscreen. I have a pair of glasses. These are polarized glasses, sunglasses made for fishing. I've got a pair of magnifying glasses for tying knots and stuff, because I have a hard time with that. Some 4-pound leader, a lure guard. This I keep in there because it's just a plastic tie for the anchor. As I say, I did a video on the anchor, but this keeps the rope down. I got this at Harbor Freight, really cheap for a diamond file, and for just cleaning up an old hook, making it sharp again, it works beautiful. Here's I catch and release, so here's a hook retriever. I've got some extra line for the tenkara. In case I lose that, I've got line to do it. I've got a needle threader. And then I carry I call it a knocker, a lure knocker. If you get hung up, you can drop this down and try to, one last try to get your lure back. And it works a lot of the times. So that's about what I take out to the Sierras, YouTube. It works real good for me. I haven't been out there where I was wanting for something, unless I just ran out of a certain hook or something. But if you go to the Sierras, that'll keep you in tackle. The waders, you're going to have to wear like a light, even maybe a sweat pant or something, because that water's still cold, but the air is very warm, so you got to balance that out. So that's the loadout for the Sierra, Eastern Sierra fishing. I hope it helps somebody, and until next time we meet, I wish you all well, and take care until then.